I get this shit lit here. I'm gonna put these citronella candles down by my legs because that's where the mesquites like to run around. So we'll light up these citronellas. Boom, boom, boom. Put them down here by the legs. All right. Okay. I'm feeling all right about that, personally. Now, I may be proven wrong down the road, but I'm thinking that's going to be a pretty fucking good block against skeeters. Hello, everybody. Good evening. How are you? If you haven't checked it out already, go to the subreddit and look at the new DFF intro. It'll blow your fucking balls through your butthole. Even if you don't have balls, you'll grow balls, and then they will explode through your butthole. And the one that's on the subreddit right now is the uncensored version too, with 100% more nips than the one you'll see used before the show from here on out. So, if that's your thing, yeah, all of that made possible by the patrons. Yeah, man, they weren't real titties, but whatever. I take what I can get. They were hollow titties. I don't worry about it, Megan. One of these days, one of these days. It's not like the deal's going away anywhere, you know? You'll be able to catch up on stuff you're missing. Good old Zapper. Yeah, there's not a lot out here tonight. I think all these racist guys. Let's just not. Can we not? Can we not go down the fucking rabbit hole of white nationalism or whatever the fuck tonight? Can we just? Can we not? I'd much rather just sit here and have a nice little conversation, you know, like the old days, the good days, the old days, the all around days. Death to all mosquitoes. Yes, yes. I watched a video the other night. Somebody had you've probably seen them. They look like a tennis racket, but there's a little button on the handle that you press and it electrifies the netting, and you're supposed to use it to like swat flies and mosquitoes. And this dude just went like to the edge of his property where the grass is pretty high and it's moist and shit, and he just waved it around and killed like thousands of mosquitoes. It's like, zzz, 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 zzz. And it was just I was like, man, I could just watch this for fucking ever, honestly. Any ideas for future philosophy streams? I've got a few. I don't want to force it. I tend to be a little bit flighty with my side stuff, which is why you guys don't see a whole lot of creepy pasta stuff, and because I enjoy doing the more focused side content stuff, and I will continue to do that. It's just going to be kind of a few and far between thing. I was hoping to see another one of those philosophical streams soon. It was great. Cool. Yeah. I don't know. We can talk about. I mean, I thought it might be kind of fun to take a look at some Jordan Peterson stuff. He seems to be a hot topic right now. It also might be fun to take a look at Ligotti or some of the other philosophers that influenced my worldview. But yeah, I definitely don't want to force it. This is primarily what I like doing on the channel. So, does determinism matter? I mean, it depends on the conversation and the context. It's not super hot right now, but it's pretty muggy. It rained on and off today, so it's pretty shveddy out here. I don't know. I just like being outside, so I'm trying to hold on to this meme for as long as you know nature will allow. Excuse me. I mean, it's like people outside of his cult group are starting to pay attention to him, and they're starting to see the obvious fucking narcissism behind his worldview and the obvious ridiculousness of trying to step us back to a 1950s paradigm. I mean, the absurdity of that alone is just, it's such rank, like, conservatism. It's like when one of these fresh faced kids comes to you and they're like, yeah, man, we need to take things back to the way that they were in the 50s. I was like, what are you listening to? Rush Limbaugh? Oh, Jordan Peterson. That's right. He's repackaged ancient fucking Republican thought and turned it into a self help book. Has he jumped the shark? Not for his followers, but I don't think, I think he's probably reached the popularity that he'll reach. And he'll become just another talking head now with a legion of confused young men following him around. Uh, I know you have conspiracy type thoughts on the death of Kurt Cobain. What's your opinion on the involvement of Courtney? I mean, I think it's, if he was murdered, I think that she would be definitely one of the first people I'd want to talk to if I was a police officer or a detective on the case. That doesn't mean that I think that she's 100% responsible or that she's even involved in the end. I think that there's enough irregularity to warrant a reopening of the case and a reinvestigation of the case because there's just so many inconsistencies to the official story on all sides, whether they be inconsistencies in Courtney Love's story and account, or the people that surrounded them's stories and accounts, or the police and their stories and accounts. Then you've got the wild card of the private investigator that Courtney Love hired to try and track Kurt down when he ran away and wasn't responding. And he's really the one that kind of blew the lid on a lot of this stuff because he was closer to Courtney than any other investigator at this time. But he was doing it on the other side. He was working for her, but the inconsistencies in her story and stuff just kept stacking up and stacking up and stacking up as he went along. And his case is presented in the documentary "Soaked in Bleach" that came out a few years ago. That's really really good and just highlights a lot of the inconsistencies with the circumstances surrounding Kurt Cobain's death and the official stories and how they evolve over time and all the shady dealings and goings on that went on between he and Courtney Love and some of the family friends that were always hanging around. A lot of heroin involved. And, there's no way they should have ruled it a suicide as quick as they did. They tried to make it, oh, yeah. Like, obviously, dude, I mean, it may have been due to just investigative, like, malfeasance or whatever the fuck, but make no bones about it, the Seattle Police Department wants this case swept under the rug and wanted it that way almost from the very fucking beginning. They wanted Kurt Cobain ruled a suicide and case closed and put into the ground as quickly as possible. They didn't want people asking questions. They didn't want people looking at evidence. They didn't want any of that. They wanted, to just say, hey, we found him. He blew his head off with a shotgun. Case closed. Tragic day. Moving on. And it's written all over their investigation. How quickly they tried to rush it through. How little they listened to anybody with alternative theories. How little they considered the evidence, if at all. Just a total fucking boondoggle. So I mean, I don't know. It's totally possible that Kurt blew his own head off in the attic space above his garage, but I don't think so. I think if it happened today, the result of the investigation would be different. I don't know because I don't think it was like, oh, back in the '90s we just didn't have the technology or whatever the fuck. This had to do with corruption and incompetence, and those things still exist in the police force. So no, and I don't think there's any reason to believe that things would be handled any better or differently today. I mean, maybe they would, maybe with a different set of investigators and a different sheriff and a different police commissioner and all of this shit. Something different could get done today, but I mean, like like I said, I think the problems with this case have a lot to do with problems that are still existent in the fucking police departments. Oh, my super chat. It's all right, dude. I always go back and read the super chats. You ain't got to worry about that, my friend. Don't worry about that, my dude. I always go catch them. I want to see another one of the. Okay, yeah. Got any stories of coworkers that you saw while working in education? I mean, I've got a bunch. Here's the problem. I did a stream not too long ago, probably a couple of weeks ago, where I talked openly about some of the things that happened to me in the school district while I was working there and blah, blah, blah. And here's the problem with that. Like, a lot of those people, like, a lot of the people that I have stories about would still be working there, number one. And I don't think it's fair, even if I disagree with something that they did or thought something they did was weird, for me to, and like, even if I change their names around, which history has shown that I'm really not good at doing, um, you know what I mean? So even if I change their names around, these are people that have, you can search. I just don't want anybody to get harassed as a result of what I'm doing. You know what I mean? These stories that I have, some of them might be fun to tell you guys. Some of them might be interesting to use anecdotally, but I have to be more careful than I have been in the past. Like, I really, I don't want to throw people's names around and have them get harassed in real life because I'm an entertainer that's now using something that happened in their past that they're probably really embarrassed about as a meme or whatever the fuck, you know? I just want to be careful with it. I'd say that it'd be hard to investigate because it's been so long, but at the same time they managed to catch. Yeah, I mean, look, they keep a lot of that evidence. You know, some of it has probably been decommissioned or whatever, but a lot of those, like just the crime scene photos and full access to the notes of all the detectives that and the first responders and all of that stuff, you can piece together quite a bit. And I definitely think it's worth having, if not the Seattle PD, then a professional law enforcement agency, maybe at the federal level, take a look at the evidence and reopen the case and see if they find any inconsistencies. I'd be willing to bet they would. Kyle Kalinske is incredibly wacky on philosophy, objective morality, and free will. That's interesting. I don't know. We'd have to talk to him. Like, I've never really had a philosophical conversation with Kyle outside of very focused political topics like education and electoral politics and stuff. But I don't think we've ever had like a just straight let's put politics on the table here and talk philosophy. So we'll have to see how far apart we are through conversation. I don't like other people telling me what people believe, especially when it's a person who I have a modicum of respect for, like Kyle. I like to hear it from the horse's mouth. You know, kind of mood am I in? I've been in a pretty good mood today, honestly. I'm in a hmm, how to describe it? There's like a mellowness about me today that usually isn't present in me, and I don't know why that is. But I woke up today on the right side of the bed, which is a very strange thing. I'm not saying I'm like overjoyed with, you know, shiny, happy feelings or whatever the fuck, but just watch your two-part philosophical Highdeology. Good stuff. Cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. We'll do more stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. A very rare occasion for me, but I kind of woke up when I felt like I wanted to wake up today and I felt fully rested and I wasn't in a whole lot of pain. I got up immediately and hopped in the shower and felt good afterwards and was like, and came down here. I did a Highdeology not too long after getting up and had a good time. Did a show tonight. Did some work on some behind the scenes stuff for the live show and the new fucking intro that we rolled out and just plans for the future. And now I'm doing another Highdeology and everything, for the most part, everything was pretty sunshine and roses and lollipops for me today. including my mood, because I've had plenty of days that are pretty sunshine, roses, and lollipops where my brain twists it into a terrible day. But today wasn't one of those days, man. I was able to kind of shelve a lot of the anxieties that usually pervade my brain for long enough to enjoy myself and laugh and have a good time and just be mellow, not over the top happy, you know, but just mellow, which is cool. You got to catalog those days, you know? At least I do, because they're so fucking infrequent for me. I mean, even if like life isn't throwing handfuls of shit at me, my brain is usually. So even if a day could be a nice mellow day where, you know, I get things done and have a productive day and feel pretty good throughout, my brain usually doesn't allow that to happen with me. So I really am thankful for these types of days, man. I try and mark them, because I don't get many. Yeah, got some cube there. I didn't even have to use my AK. It was a good day. Mm, 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 mm. Wake up in the morning, gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seems kinda odd. No barking from the dog, no smog. And mama cooked the breakfast with no hog. I got my grub on, but didn't pig out. Finally got a call from a girl I wanna dig out. Yeah, it was one of those kind of days. You know, it's a good day. Where's your family? Fuck if I know, dude. Flamin' hot sweet chili Cheetos? They got that new shit? They got the sweet chili Cheetos? See, I ain't even seen that. That's new on me. I gotta make a mental note on that shit. A new Flamin' Hot? Damn. How'd I miss that shit? I gotta get out more, man. I gotta get out more, dog. Hot Cheeto, get out of here. You're lucky I don't ban you right now. You're lucky I'm in a good mood today. Dude, the Flamin' Hot Cheeto is God's gift to chips. Okay? Think you're ever gonna do a meetup in the New York City area? I really need to meet you guys. Yeah, you know, depending on the success of this meetup, we're planning in July. So it's July 21st at the Mint. Yeah, the depending on the success of that, I would say it's a foregone conclusion that we'll do an East Coast meetup. So either New York or somewhere very close by. But you know, it all kind of depends. Um, you know, we have nowhere near the subscriber base that we had when we were doing the Drunken Peasants. We have nowhere near the amount of views on videos that we had when we were doing the Drunken Peasants. So we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here doing this meetup. We don't know how many people are going to show. Um, we hope that we can sell a significant amount of tickets and put on a good show for people. But there's a chance like there might not be very many people at this, and that means that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to keep doing it. So if that ends up happening, then I'd say that there's probably not a really good chance for a New York meetup. But if we have a successful meetup in terms of having a decent amount of people turn out, everybody has fun. You know, no craziness, no weird costs above what we're already spending on it incurred. You know, then yeah, I'd say it's a foregone conclusion. We do a New York meetup. I mean, if we can make these successful, I would love like I would love to go all over the world with this. You know, this is something a little different than just a meetup too. I mean, this is you know, TJ talked about it a little bit at the top of the show tonight for the patrons. You guys who aren't patrons will get to see it during the preview tomorrow. But you know, it'd be one thing if we were charging $25 at the door to just hang out with you guys, but we're doing something differently. This is something we haven't done at any of the meetups before. We've played with it at the meetups. At our first LA meetup, we sat up on the stage and did a Q&A, and I did a story time with Paul, and that went over well. People seem to really like that. Um, At the Seattle meetup, we took the stage and did kind of a similar thing. We've done these kind of informal Q&A type of things, but we really want to do a live deep fat fried for you guys with topics and lists and fucking craziness and audience involvement. In addition to having Marshall play a full set before, I know a lot of the people in the fan base know about Marshall, love his music and this stuff. I mean, he does the intro song for Deep Fat Fried. Our new intro song is all Marshall, so it's yeah, you know, it's gonna be a show and a meetup, all kind of wrapped into one. There may be less eyeballs on DFF, but the fans you do have are way more loyal and eager to. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we do have a loyal fan base, and it's growing, man. I mean, look, there's a couple of months between now and then, and the show is growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, it's not like exploding in growth, but it's steady and trackable, and our Patreon just keeps getting better and better. As of the last time I looked, we needed 81 more patrons for a 24-hour show. Also, I guess I can let you guys know a little early. The 12-hour show has been scheduled. It'll be next Friday, from 12 noon Central Standard Time to midnight Central Standard Time. So, and that'll be for everybody, by the way. It's a rare Friday show of Deep Fat Fried where everybody gets a piece. You can thank the patrons for it. Those of you who aren't, they fulfilled that goal of reaching 2,000 at the end of last month. So this month it's deliverable. So yeah, 12-hour deep fat fried next Friday. A little extra content for those of you who aren't patrons. You get two shows, and one of them's a fucking 12-hour show. But yeah, you can expect we're gonna try and do it to the best of our ability with no vamping and time filling and bullshit. I mean, we're gonna conversate and have fun, but we're gonna try and do a 12-hour deep fat fried. That means topics and lists, and you're gonna get quite a few more topics than you're used to in a deep fat fried. But we're not just going to sit in front of you guys and expect you to watch us for 12 hours do nothing. you know, we're going to have a full slate of show for you guys. What topics? You will know at 12 noon next Friday, Central Standard Time. So not like this. Sick burn, though. Sick burn. I can't even be mad at that. Yeah, no, exactly. Not like this. I mean, I'm not really trying to fill time here, but yeah, exactly the point. The tone will be we're gonna give you guys a show. We're gonna do a goddamn 12 hours worth of deep fat fried, and we're doing it live. We're doing it live because that's the way we do it. Patron only. Watch your revenue dry up. I just got done telling you that this is not a patron only show. The 12-hour show is for all. The bountiful feast will be for all who wish to watch it. No pirating needed. No yar har fiddly dee. No need to put on your eye patch and peg leg and hook hand for this one. Everybody gets a piece. Everybody gets a piece. Oh, you're not talking to me. Sorry. It's hard to tell if you're having a conversation with somebody else. Everything's out of context for me because I tune in and tune out. I'm going to go grab something to drink. I'll be right back. You guys have fun watching the zippity zip zaps because I'm starting to hear them. I hear one sizzling over there right now. Yeah, sizzle away. Okay, whatever you say. Dinor doesn't want to be out of here with us tonight, guys. Fuck him. I told him, come on, and he just stood there and kind of cocked his head at me like, I don't really want to. I was like, all right, fine. Fine, dude. Hey, I ain't gonna force him. Yeah, another 10 people dead at a public school in America. This time in Texas. I mean, how much? I don't think I could get more desensitized to mass violence against school children than I am now, which is like a sad state of affairs in this country. But, yep, just another day in America. On average, a week, one a week, since the year started. One school shooting per week since the year started. I've started up a new dwarf fortress, and I've named some of my dwarves after you guys. Need a name for the fortress, though. I don't know, dude. The halls of shit. No one cares? Dude, I care, Bobby. Fuck you. Speak for your dumbass self, Bobby. Ain't nobody ask you for shit. Nobody ask you for shit. I like the DFF intro. It had an old Dragon Ball Z feel. Yeah, we were shooting for old cartoon intro. You know, like 80s, 90s cartoon action cartoon intros. And I think we got, you know, right on the nose with it. I really love it. He-Man, yeah, that was one of the things that was mentioned. So the names that were mentioned as far as inspirations for the different characters and stuff will probably not surprise any of you, and I won't even have to tell you to whom they were ascribed. One of them was M. Bison or Balrog, you know, if you follow the Japanese naming scheme. One of them was, interestingly enough, Dr. Robotnik, and one of them was He-Man. Yeah, I'm the only one that remains fat after the transformation. Yep, yep. I wanted to be fat, dude. You know, we all met with the animator early on to kind of give them the concepts and how we felt our character should be portrayed. And I was just like, dude, I want to be huge. I want to be so fat there was no way that I could walk, you know? And he went there with me, dude. And he gave me the little stumpy legs. Krang, yeah, a little bit of Krang feeling to it. Scotty started out as more like we wanted to do more like a Kaiser outfit with him, but as time went on, we realized you know, the power set we wanted to give him and stuff was totally M. Bison. So, and then as soon as we gave that to the animator sent us back some early stuff, and we were like, oh yeah, that's it. That's Scotty. Where's the Tomat? What am I, the keeper of the Tomat, dude? I don't know where he is. I don't keep tabs on the Tomat. Yeah, we had to fire Glenn, man. Just a shame. What's a place in the world where when you go to it, you get a huge wave of nostalgia? Um, a huge wave of nostalgia. Let's see. Yeah, I like probably Pismo Beach. Certain parts of it too, because the road leading into Pismo Beach. I talk about Pismo all the fucking time. It's my favorite place in the world, so you'll have to forgive me. But the road into Pismo Beach has been the same since I was a little kid, so it always looks the same on the approach. And that's just always a huge, like, them's words what gets you timed out. I didn't even see it, but yeah, I trust you. Yeah, Pismo, man. My heart is in Pismo always, for sure. He said, what? Ban him. I'm kidding. This heresy will not be tolerated. The Orange heresy will be stamped out. Bishop Zigo will see to it that our holy Tomat Father will not be slandered by these peons and rapscallions and ruffians and rogues of the evening. Bishop Zigo is on the case. The Orange Inquisition is at hand. All who spread the heresy that Senor Tomat is an orange will be burned at the stake. They will be banned at the stake. Banned at the stake. Ban them all. Every last one of them, until not a single impure scum remains. Super chat, super chat, super duper 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 duper. All right. I live in Maryland, so I'd go to a New York meetup. Kyle would make a good guest. Okay, cool. And how can we fix a political system to remove corruption? I don't know. I mean, it's so entrenched at this point that I don't know if there is any saving what we've got. I mean, my answer has always been let's tear it down and try again, which, I'll get my way one way or the other. Either we'll tear it down or it'll come down around us and we'll try again. But I don't think there's any real hope of changing the system as it is right now. I've never really felt that there is. I mean, you might make little steps in the right direction, but for every step in the right direction that you take, you're going to take two in the opposite direction. And you'll never undo the things that are really damaging the planet. So we're going to push ourselves to an ecological disaster. And things are going to have to change. Execute Order 66. Wipe out all of the heretics who dare say Tomat is an orange. Yes. Order 66 is in play. Spread the word amongst the moderation staff. The Inquisition is at hand. The Holy Father Bishop Zigo stands at its helm, flaming sword in hand, ready to smite down the heathen in the name of Tomat. Paul, my dad, and I rent homes in Texas, and we could beat y'all's renting rate easy. Oh, I'm sure you could, man. There are any number of places where we could probably get a better deal than we're getting here, and this was way cheaper than where we were living. Make no bones about that. But I don't know. I know for a fact my future does not lie in Louisiana, so this is a temporary stopping over point for me, and I'm pretty sure all the other guys feel the same. Senor Naranja. That is not what he likes to be called by. You've donated your ass to the church 4 times now. We'll donate it 4 times more. Got your ticket the other day. Can't wait to see us in July. Cool, man. Can't. Hey, it's gonna be fucking awesome, man. It's gonna be good times. Good times will be had by all. It will be a drunken nightmare of a time. Oranges have no place here. We are tomat and tomat only. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, this is true. Would you ever consider moving outside of the US? If so, what country would you choose? A lot of the countries I would want to live in outside of the US aren't particularly easy to immigrate to. So, I'd like to live in any of the Nordic countries. I mean, I'd even go to Iceland, dude. If I could get an internet connection that was good enough in Iceland, fucking A, dude. I, Reykjavik, here I come. But any of the Nordic countries, Amsterdam, um, I mean, those would probably be the most likely out of the U.S. locations that I'd be willing to live in. Yeah, I'm willing to risk the roving rape gangs of Muslims that are prowling the streets in every Nordic country. I'm willing to take that risk. I finally added a pic on here so you wouldn't see me as part of the unwashed masses. Well, there you go. There you go. I believe you can work and stay in Iceland for 6 months on a normal visa. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what the fucking rules are and shit? But I'm telling you, I'd go there. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Finding a venue that has all the stuff that we want, that was willing to do an all ages show in LA in the area we wanted to do it. It's just not. It's not that great. I mean, this is a pretty awesome area of LA. It's a great club. So it's hard to find the all ages venues, and our audience skews pretty young. So it is shitty when we have to do these 21 plus gigs. Where's the lamb sauce? The lamb sauce. Excuse me, have you seen the lamb sauce? I'm looking for the lamb sauce. I'm surprised if you have fans that are under 21. I didn't think that you had so many. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but our audience skews very, very young. We got a lot of teenagers watching us. Um, Live in the Bay Area where rent starts at 3 grand. Trust me, I know. I grew up in California and dreamed about moving to the Bay Area and looked at the average rent there and in despair many, many times. Where's the lamb sauce? Somebody took the lamb sauce off the counter, and I'm hoping that it didn't get poured down the drain. Have you seen the lamb sauce? I left it right here in a bowl. I left it right here. The last time I saw it, it was right here in a bowl covered in saran wrap. The lamb sauce. Yeah, the lamb sauce. The sauce for the lamb. The lamb sauce. Is that daylight? Yep. Go ahead and go towards it. Go towards the daylight. Touch the daylight. Where's the lamb sauce? God damn it. Yeah, it's the light at the end of the tunnel. Go and touch the mystical light. Do you think it's ironic how the states with the highest concentrations of climate change deniers will be the most heavily affected by it when ice caps melt? I find it ironic as fuck. I mean, ironic or no, it's just going to be a horrible fucking tragedy. And millions of people are going to be killed or displaced. And it's just going to be an awful, awful time to be alive. And there's nothing we can do to stop it now. People seem to be content with just distracting themselves with bullshit, but the writing's on the wall. Why is Marissa Tomei so hot, dude? I don't know. But you are so right about that. Good gravy. And even as like time goes by, like she doesn't get any less hot. She's pretty old now, but she's like Marissa Tomei, Bobby Bush. Come on, man. Just wanted to say if I was of the man variation, I would choose to have your beard as a true inspiration for mine own. Well, there you go. You might want to pick somebody else's though. Mine is a pain in the ass. It's a wiry, brushy piece of shit. Gets all dry and stuff. I don't put oil in it. It's like a goddamn like child growing on my face that I have to nurture. Might want to pick like you pick TJ's beard. If TJ like had the gumption, he could grow a wizard beard, man. He's got that like nice long straight fucking facial hair. Like he could have a straight up, Gandalf wizard beard, but he always trims his shit back, man. He never lets it happen. Well, maybe a TJ PJ beard combination. Yeah, I mean, if you could have TJ's TJ's style of facial hair and my will to grow it, you would have a resplendent beard indeed. I get all excited when I sniff that poo stank. The poo stank? Oh, I get it. Your name is Toilet Humor. I see what you're doing. Cali rent is ridiculous, but it would be sweet to get an Airbnb Cali mansion for all the fans to crash in. That sounds like a fucking nightmare waiting to happen, dude. There's no way. Like everybody's gonna have to come up with their own goddamn accommodations, man. I mean, if you guys all wanted to get together and put in on an Airbnb and have a big flop house or something, hell, if you get a nice enough pad, I might even drop by for the after party. But I'll leave it to you guys to coordinate that shit. But I ain't trying to be responsible for that mess. That's gonna have to be all of you. You have a group of 6 so far, huh? That's cool. Well, keep building that up, man. You get enough people, you get a badass Beverly Hills mansion for the night. If you got a mansion in Beverly Hills, you'd be really close to the venue, too, because we're right at the base of Beverly Hills. Or the venue is, anyway. Mm. Favorite Christian Slater movie? Uh, I mean, Interview with a Vampire is pretty fucking hard to pass up. I also like Very Bad Things, so it'd probably be a tie between those two for me, honestly. Very Bad Things is great, by the way. It's a dark comedy, kind of a cult classic. True Romance is good too, for sure. Would you rather have a limitless buffet with endless amounts of your favorite food, or a harem of beautiful women who want to stuff your face with their booty cheeks? I mean, if you don't like, I'm a fat guy and all, but I think you know which way the wind is blowing on that one. I don't know a dude that would pick number one over number two. I mean, I love eating, but come on.
What's this question?
Would you rather have an endless buffet of all the foods that you want that's available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Uh-huh.
or an endless rotating harem of women to service you?
Hmm.
I mean,
Well,
as much as I'd love to choose the food, I gotta go with my nuts here.
gluttony versus lust.
Come out with us now. What? Oh, now we're cool enough to hang out with now. Now we're cool enough. Now you want to chill with Dad? Okay, I see how it goes. I see how it goes, bud. Just don't burn yourself on that candle, okay? I got candles. I have candles to keep the mosquitoes. I have candles to keep the mosquitoes.
Burn, baby, burn.
Wiggity wiggity wow.
Sweaties.
Who's that neckbeard? It's TJ.
Who's that? Maybe. Oh no, it's me.
Do you have a successful marriage with TJ? No. I don't think I can have a successful marriage with anybody. But TJ's missing a key component for me. If he had a vagina, he's already got the titties. So really all he'd have to do is just shave once in a while and get the vagina. I'd be fine with it then.
Paul's too cranky to be married to.
Yeah, I don't fucking I'm not going to argue. I don't know how I get put up with. I'm a grouchy fuck. Shut up.
Hey! No. It's too late for that.
Yeah, you don't come out here fucking like you just chill out.
So,
What's the most out there cosmological or philosophical explanation for the universe that you lend credence? The most out there one? I mean, out there is kind of a subjective thing to say because, like, there's a lot of stuff that's out there to me that people could, have a decent understanding
what
of.
answer to that question isn't out there?
Yeah,
I mean,
like
I've never
string
heard an,
theory.
I've never heard an explanation for the beginning of the universe that was like, oh,
Yeah.
makes common sense. I mean, common sense pretty much fails at that level.
I read a really interesting scientific study today, though, about panspermia, where it's a scientific paper, peer reviewed and published, about the possible extraterrestrial origins of life on this planet. And it makes a pretty compelling case to a layman. I didn't understand a lot of the technical jargon, but their summation was basically that, like, they talk about the octopus a lot because the octopus is one of the best examples of what they're talking about. But about uh, half a billion years ago, this huge explosion of life started on this planet. the Cambrian explosion, and it followed a mass extinction event, the one that killed the last of the dinosaurs and shit. So that we have this, about 750 million years ago, we have this big die off, and then 50 million years ago, there's this huge explosion of life on this planet. Just, new species popping up everywhere. Just almost like somebody hit the gas pedal on evolution. And it's just like fucking an insane amount of diversification of species that happens during this period, right? And one of the animals that's most profoundly changed during that relatively small amount of time is the modern octopus. Before the Cambrian explosion, the most direct ancestor of the octopus were nautiloids. These, like, basically, they're blind. They're the shittiest designed creature you've ever seen. They live in a shell, and they move backwards. They move by blowing water out of a valve that's pointing away from where their eyes are. So they can't see where they're fucking going. They're just like, they're relatively intelligent little things, but they're not very well evolved, They're just kind of a big dopey fucking thing. And then all of a sudden, after the Cambrian explosion happens, octopuses are literal fucking cyberspace ninjas. They're super intelligent. They have eyes unlike any other cephalopod. They're super dexterous. They have skin that can change color and shape to the point where they're almost invisible to the naked eye for a human being. And all of this happens in such a relatively short amount of time. Not only that, but the octopus's genome diverges so wildly from other cephalopods. It's got all of these, like, advanced, like, one of the doctors that they cite in their study that studied octopuses said that the octopus is strange when you examine its genome because it looks like it has its future written already into its genes. It looks like its genes look like something that's lived way longer than we can account for the octopus being alive. And it's one of the big kind of question marks that hang over neo-Darwinian evolution as the most accepted biological explanation for the diversity of life on this planet, because it's like nobody can account for a nautilus, a dumbass backwards flying bivalve bullshit beast becoming a fucking ninja overnight. Like, it just, but these guys that are doing this study talk about retroviruses being possible parts of a cosmic biology where biological matter is nowhere near biological material is nowhere near as rare as we think it is. In fact, it exists all over the cosmos because the building blocks for it are present in comets and water-bearing ferrous iron asteroids and shit that could conceivably carry some of these extremophile microbes across great distances in space at no harm to them. And another one of the big question marks of evolution is the water bear, or the tardigrade, which is I can't remember what they're called. Eukaryotes, I think. Eukaryote. They're a eukaryote, and there's no, like, they're such an extremophile that they can survive prolonged time in the vacuum of space at insane temperatures, both hot and cold. But there's nothing on this planet that any scientist can point to that would have caused that evolutionary trait to be selected. So it's almost like they were just dropped here. And it's conceivable that such an animal could ride in the tail of a comet. You know what I mean? So this idea of panspermia is a pretty interesting one for me, because it's one of the questions that evolution really doesn't seek to answer. How did life start? Can an octopus roll a doobie? I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe.
Maybe train it to.
Yeah.
They're pretty smart. There was an aquarium where fish kept going missing, and they're like, "What the fuck is happening? Why do fish keep vanishing?" And it turned out the octopus was like leaving its tank and like going to other tanks and stealing fish and shit.
That's awesome. Yeah, the octopus is just way more intelligent than it should be. And just so adapted that it's like once again, like, scientists don't understand how octopuses work, because they're not only capable of this insane visual camouflage that's like something out of, like when you watch high resolution HD film of octopuses changing, it looks fake. It looks like something that was done as part of a movie with a really big budget. I mean, it looks scientific, it looks sci-fi. But not only that, but their skin not only can look like anything else, but it changes shape. They can change their skin and bunch it up so it looks like coral reefs and shit. It happens instantaneously. Where did that come from? Well, I mean, this theory postulates that a lot of that DNA came from retroviruses that were from other planets elsewhere in our cosmos, carrying genetic information with them as retroviruses do, as markers or tags from the other beasts that it's infected, and that it came here, found its way to a cuttlefish, and just added a bunch of genetic information via retrovirus to the cuttlefish's genome, and accelerated its evolution by just a massive amount. It's I don't know how fucking plausible that is, but man, that's a cool sounding thing. He also talks about how major, because a lot of times when these big pandemics come, they catch us completely unaware. We have no idea how these viruses evolved or remained dormant for so long and how we missed them. AIDS was the last one that really did this to us. The HIV virus was like nothing we'd ever seen. It came out of fucking nowhere and became a pandemic almost overnight. And these guys say that these retroviral cells can survive out in space. It's been tested. And if their idea of a cosmic biology is true, then these retroviruses might be being delivered to our planet constantly. And when we pass through, different clouds of meteorites and stuff, every time we do that, we might be risking another pandemic that brings a different kind of retrovirus that evolved on another planet, and then that planet was destroyed, or a meteorite hit it and throwing chunks of ice and viruses up into the fucking air, and it found its way to us over the untold aeons and landed here. But if he's the way they seem to paint it was is that it wouldn't even need to be that much happenstance. The way they try and paint it is that there might be biology as just a background radiation of the cosmos. It might be everywhere. They cite a study of mycobacteria, which are like little fungus that were found on the windows of the ISS, 400 miles above the the Earth, the Earth's atmosphere, with absolutely no way that they could have been carried there in trace amounts. These are not things that are found anywhere near any of the launch sites or anything. I mean, they've completely excluded them as being carried up by the ships, but they're out there nonetheless. You know, and most of the scientists that have looked at it at least have some sort of agreement that terrestrial origins are very unlikely for these bacteria. They're super extremophile bacteria that are found only in a very few places on Earth. But they were found on the fucking window of the ISS. So if that's true, I mean, there might be biological material just floating fucking everywhere in the cosmos, like these guys say, a cosmic biology, a unified cosmic biology. I'm not talking about a documentary. I'm talking about a fucking study that I read today. Oh, look, Paul, he's so smart. I'm not trying to. I just thought it was interesting. Fuck you. Hate
How
this.
dare you talk about something fascinating to you?
I know.
Fucking pseudo intellectual piece of shit. I read this really interesting study today. Fuck you. Think you smart?
Have you ever seen the new Star Trek? It deals with interstellar fungal network. I have not. So,
I was thinking though that if there's anything to that hypothesis, uh, it might make something like, because in Star Trek, you have all these humanoid species, and it's always been like kind of a strain on credulity. But
Right.
if life throughout the cosmos is interconnected, then it might make sense that there'd be all these humanoid species across the cosmos.
Oh yeah.
They're just one type of life that just is you
Well,
know.
that's another thing that these guys posit is that life is way more common than we ever even dreamed of in the universe. Judging from, and they cite just the amount of habitable worlds that we've discovered just in the last 10 years. There's some like 500 local cluster worlds that could support life just in our neighborhood.
Well, I mean, if life is as versatile as they think it is, then it's probably just everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's what they posit. They once again, they're it's the theory of cosmic. They're calling it the whatever their names, theory of cosmic biology, and they're positing that it explains a lot of the because the Cambrian explosion wasn't the only big explosion of life that happened in it's just the biggest.
Yeah.
But there were multiple what they call blooms of life and shit over the
Usually,
course of
usually immediately after a mass extinction too.
right. And so they think that honestly that like the big impact craters that they think killed the dinosaurs might have been cometary impacts that brought with them the destruction of most of the life that was on the planet, but also the seeds that led to this great Cambrian explosion as well. So, and they're saying that that might have something to do with the Earth passing through this chunk of the Oort cloud every once in a while and picking up all these cometary bodies.
Cool.
Pretty cool, man.
I've heard stuff like this before, but I've never heard one in so much detail. I want to read this study. It sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really super technical jargon that's hard to,
Sure.
but yeah, the summation of it is really an interesting read. Mass death leads to explosions of new life. It's almost poetic. Well, not only that, but if these guys are right, then the bringer of mass death is also the bringer of new life. So it's like this, big, water-bearing asteroid destroys the Earth, but brings the microbial seeds of new life with retroviral, particles that are capable of transferring DNA and, you know, almost accelerate the repopulation of the Earth.
I mean, a huge amount of the DNA of any organism today is retroviral, for
Yep.
sure. I forget what percentage of human DNA is retroviral, but
Well, and scientists don't really understand how the retrovirus came about. It's another one of those question mark animals where it's just like they're so incredibly complex and devious and so apparently old that scientists don't know, how this came about.
it's actually one of the ways that they track evolution is to see
Yeah,
what
percentage of
retroviruses organisms share and stuff,
right.
because then they could see, oh, how when were these one organism?
Imagine the speciesism if we coincided with aliens. You mean like
I mean, if something like this is true, then you really can't think of aliens like that.
yeah, I mean
It would just mean that all life across the cosmos would be connected.
if this turns out to be true, then yeah, then you wouldn't. We'd all be part of the same
Yeah,
biological tree.
5 to 8% of our genome is retroviral.
Yeah. Octopi evolved so rapidly after the Cambrian because they gained the ability to alter their own RNA. Sweet. Where'd they get that? How'd that happen? Aliens? Okay, cool. I figured. That sounds pretty fucking awesome. Back to what you said, evolution doesn't get sped up, but genetic mutations could happen quickly across fewer generations. Sped up and well, yeah, okay, I understand what you mean. Just to have genetic information from outside of the current genome inserted to create rapid change in a species. That's what I'm talking. I'm not talking about speeding it up. Yeah, you're right, because that implies it has a finish line or whatever the fuck. So well taken. Point well taken.
That's one of the things about evolution is a lot of people tend to make the mistake of thinking there's a goal.
Yeah, like there's a peak, like a perfect form for each organism, and we're all heading towards that. It's like no.
It's it's not a process that has an objective. There's no destination. Just adapting to the environment.
Yeah, it's pretty insane though. I've never heard of this before. I want to see more of it. Yeah, I can't. You have to search for just like I saw it. It was some stupid fucking story on my news app today, and it had a link to the story itself is retarded, but they actually linked to the study, and I clicked on that and went and read it. So you'll have to just look into it, like
I mean, the theory
octopus alien or whatever the fuck.
the
It'll be a
theory is called panspermia, so you could look it up
yeah,
on
but they
YouTube.
don't really call it panspermia. So you'll just have to look up like
Oh, okay.
octopus alien in the news for the last couple of days, and you'll
Might be able
find
to
it.
find it. Look, cosmic biology or something too.
Yeah, cosmic biology. Yeah.
But yeah, octopus alien.
Someone just pounded on my door at 3 a.m. I went and looked and no one was there. That's disconcerting. Maybe it were the cops, but they figured out they had the wrong house. Maybe it's a ghost. Yeah, could be a ghost. Dude, my mom tells this creepy story from when she was a little girl, and I don't know if it's like she might have been having like sleep paralysis or hypnagogic hallucinations or whatever, but she remembers when she was about 8, she was sleeping over with her cousin, and they were laying in bed, and her cousin had one of those like sloped windows in her room that was on the ceiling, but because so it was like a skylight almost into the room. And my mom remembers it's such a just like it's such a creepy like thought. So she's laying on her back in the bed next to her little cousin, and she opens her eyes and she looks up at that window, that sloped window that's on the ceiling, and there's just a man there, like holding on to the top of the roof and looking into the window. And like she said, she just laid there with her eyes half open 'cause she didn't want to move because she thought if she moved, he would come crashing through the window to get him. So she just watched him and he would like wipe on the window and like try and see in. And she said she just laid there watching him for a long, long time until he left.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been real.
Who the fuck knows, man? That was you? Oh, god damn, man. God damn. It sounded like a sad, mad woman slapping the door. I was terrified when I got to my room. No one was there. Fuck that, dude. Fuck that. Go get some garlic or something. Go get some garlic and hang it around your neck tonight and lock your fucking bedroom door. And if you've got a gun, point it at the door. I'm just telling you, man. It sounds like you've got a poltergeist or some shit. So I don't know how to beat those, but if I were you and I had a gun and some garlic, I'd have both of those things with me right now.
You gotta get that little midget lady.
Yeah, you got to get the little midget lady, Tangina from fucking Poltergeist. Step into the light, cynic. Come into the light. It's okay. You can do it.
Another good movie with some really unfortunate sequels.
Yeah, that's true. That would be a good one to do too. Although I got to be honest with you, I kind of like this. Like Poltergeist 3. It's a pretty shitty movie, but I like it. It's shitty good.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's shitty good, dude.
I like some shitty movies. I like most of the Resident Evil movies, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
And just awful. Just a guilty pleasure.
Did she note any features? She just remembers that he was wearing like a stocking cap, like a beanie type hat. And she describes him as kind of looking like a hobo, but it was too dark for her to see any of his features. So she said, she always thought of him as a hobo. She always thought it was some old hobo that had found his way to the house and was looking in there to see if anybody was in there. But I mean, it also has all of the hallmarks of a hypnagogic hallucination. The feeling like if you move, it's going to get you. You know.
Yeah, but you might. I think you might feel that. I think you probably be paralyzed if there was some dude just looking in the window.
I mean,
As a
maybe.
kid,
Yeah.
you're 8 years old. There's some fucking creep staring at you through the window. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really kind of hard to say. My mom told me this story once about when she was a little kid. She was playing in her sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
She was like 6 or 7 years old or something, and she said there was like she hears this voice like, "Hi, Terry." She looks up and there's like this weird cartoon moon floating above her. It's just like, "Hey there, Terry. How you doing?"
Whoa.
And it was like, she's just like, "What the fuck?" I don't remember what she said it did, but it was just kind of floating there. And that wasn't. I mean, that, maybe she just fell asleep in her sandbox. I don't know.
Yeah. Did that dude in that nightmare documentary about this sleep paralysis shit, who had that evil old man that would come to his window and just tell him awful things that he was gonna do to him, like, I'm gonna bite off all your toes, Toby. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna eat your feet. And he's just like laying in his bed, like,
That's not pleasant.
Holy fuck. And it would come to him every night. Like every night it would do something different to him. Like, I'm gonna eat your face tonight. I'm gonna eat your face, Toby. Said it sounds just like some old, creepy old man at his window.
I'm glad I don't have that shit anymore.
Dude, he said he even had it, like, he went back to stay with his mom and ended up staying in his old room as an adult and had it again. Fell asleep that night as a fucking full grown man, and the fucking old man came to his window again and was like, been a long time, Toby. I'm gonna eat your balls tonight. Just like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is going on in somebody's head to have that happen to them? And it's such a widespread fucking thing. You have a story about that goblin thing you chased off.
Yeah, there's a few. Started when I was about 9. I think the last time it happened I was like 22, 23. So, for like 15 years or something.
Fuck.
Yeah, I had to deal with that shit. But
I've had bouts of it, but
it's
always so far removed that, like, it's never like it's something that haunted me for nights on end or anything.
I'll tell you one thing that happened one time that didn't really feel the same. But I was living in Alabama, so I must have been like 18. I woke up one morning and I looked like to the side of me, and there was this little fucking weird, like, glowing orb thing
Yeah.
that was just floating next to the bed, and I was like,
Did you try to touch it or anything?
I wasn't like sleep paralyzed or anything.
Uh.
So I mean, I was mobile. I'm just looking at it like, whoa. what? And then it went for
Whoa.
like 10 seconds.
Was
And
it
then it
super
just,
loud?
yeah. And then it just, I can't remember if it flew up or down, but it just was gone. I'm
Wow.
like, okay, well, I'm not going back to bed now.
That's crazy,
That was
dude.
disconcerting.
Yeah.
There's definitely some weird shit.
Yeah,
Like
there's
you
a
can never,
whole.
you always have to ask yourself, like, was that in my head? Or did that just fucking happen?
I just imagine if you had it really bad, like these people, like every fucking
Right.
night, these things are coming to you.
I don't even know how they stay sane.
I don't know either.
I really don't know how they fucking stay sane. Because, like, the few experiences I've had with that kind of stuff, it's just like, ugh, I don't know how to deal with
I
that.
mean, and some of them, like just the shit that their mind comes up with to torment them, like yours seems almost playful when you tell it. You know what I mean? You're just like, get the fuck out of here, little thing, and it's like, wee, you
It was
know. Like,
definitely,
I mean, I'm sure it was
it
scarier
was pretty
living
fucking scary.
through it, but
I mean, like,
in comparison to some of those other stories,
the
man.
thing, the main thing that I saw, and it was the same thing for years. It's the first time when I was 9. I just woke up in the middle of the night and I saw this weird robed, hooded figure just walk across the room.
Yeah,
And I was just like, what the fuck? I was fucking terrified.
yeah,
Like, I was scared shitless. Like, I could not fucking. Like, there was like one of those things where, like, there was an indent to the window,
uh huh,
you know? And I saw it walk all the way across the room into that little, where that window indent was. And I saw it probably at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I literally just sat there watching that spot for like 4 hours or some shit until the sun came up,
yeah.
you know?
Wow.
And that was fucking horrible. And then when I was like 15 or something, so like 6 years later, I woke up and I saw the same sort of like figure standing at the edge of my bed. It's probably like, I mean, not as tall as a human being. It looked like maybe this tall as blood hands.
Yeah.
He was like 5'5", 5'6",
Right.
really big head. Like the Greys,
Yeah.
the Gray aliens. And it did the thing from I woke up, I saw it standing there. I was like, what the fuck? And then it did that thing from Dark City, where it's just like sleep.
Yeah.
And I just went right back to bed, like, oh, okay, yes. And I'm like, then I woke up the next morning, like, what the fuck?
Holy shit, dude. No.
Yeah, it was not. I was like, oh. So I said to myself, like, if I ever see that thing again, I just have to. I'm gonna fucking beat the shit out of it because this is not fun.
Right.
This is not. I'm tired. I'm 15 now. I'm not a fucking little 9-year-old boy anymore. I'm gonna kick this thing's ass.
Right.
And so it wasn't like it was 2 weeks later. I was laying in bed and I opened my eyes and I'm like, it's there. Like I
Yeah.
just knew it was there. And I turned and look and it's fucking standing there, of course.
Yeah.
And I fucking jump out of bed to tackle it, because I want to prove. I'm really like in my mind. I'm like, I'm either gonna fucking get this thing or I'm gonna prove that it's not real,
Right.
you know. And I'd had dreams about it for a few days before too. Like I had a dream that I walked into the woods and like everyone in my family was like crucified on trees and shit, and he was there.
Oh.
So it'd been in my mind a lot too.
Right.
But then, so I jump up to go fucking tackle this thing, and it just like vanishes in my arms,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, fuck, okay. But I was relieved because I'm like, okay, it was just hallucination, it's just bullshit.
Right.
And then I look up, and its head is still floating there,
Whoa.
and its head like winks at me, and it's got all these fucking tattoos all over its face. Like it was the first time I really saw its face close,
Yeah.
and it looked like a gray, like aliens, but it had all these fucking crazy facial tattoos. and it really did, like you said, have like a sense of humor to it.
Yeah.
Like it was, like it winked at me, and it kind of like, was like, yeah, I'm real, bitch. And then fucking the head vanished too. I'm like, fuck.
Whoa.
And then the last time I saw it, probably I was like 21, 22. I was sleeping on the top bed of a bunk bed.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty was on the lower part, and I was laying with my fucking back to the wall, and I'm like, I open my eyes, and once again, I'm just like, fuck,
It's here.
he's there. And I
Yeah.
turn, and he's just standing like no far, like where you are to me right now.
Right.
That's like
Not far.
how
Like
close he
three,
is.
4 feet away.
And I'm in like, I'm not talking. I mean, like, it doesn't look like a fucking hallucination. It looks like something that's really fucking there.
Yeah.
And so immediately, I just fucking like, throw a punch at him, and he doesn't dodge it in like a side, like like that.
Yeah.
He just literally like, as my fist is going towards him, he just moves away at the exact same speed, but then he just keeps going, and he keeps going all the way across the room without moving his legs or anything, just floating,
Right.
and he hits the wall, turns into this weird plume of black smoke that dissipates real quick, and it was the last time I ever saw that thing.
Wow.
So 4 times in my life between the ages of 9 and like 21,
Did you beat it?
22. I don't know. I mean,
You beat it, dude. It ain't coming back. It
I
knows not to fuck with you now.
I feel like there could be any day where I just wake up in the middle of the night, and
What would you do now? Would you try and attack it again?
I guess, I mean, it seems like it leaves when I attack it, so it's pretty crazy.
That is really fucking.
But I do feel like maybe taking that more active, like fuck you stance, kind of demystifies it, and maybe in some way tells your brain like, don't fucking do this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I ain't down for this.
Yeah, maybe.
Fuck this monster shit. Let's not do this.
No, I missed a super chat or two, so let's take a
So
look.
sorry.
No, 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 it's all good. I love that story.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen some other weird shit too, but that was the main thing.
You ever seen paintings by schizophrenics? Somebody asked. I have not.
I have.
Fuck that. My neighborhood had a peeping Tom for a minute. Gross. I think I found out the study you're talking about. It's a book called Cosmic Biology How Life Could Evolve on Other Worlds. It's on Amazon. I don't think this is a book. This is a pretty new
Yeah, I
scientific
found
study.
that when I was looking for it too. That's not what we're talking about.
No, I mean, it might have some of the same
If
principles
you
in it, but
if you do cosmic biology and look in the news section, you'll find it.
yeah.
Because it's pretty much brand new.
Just make sure you try and find the study itself. Don't read the stupid news story because
Yeah,
it's dog shit.
don't ever let journalists sum up science for you. They don't know what they're doing.
Uh, I've got chills from TJ's story. Have you seen Fire in the Sky? Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean,
Well, one of the reasons I kept seeing. I mean, one of the reasons he looked like a gray was because I was so into, the aliens thing when I was growing up,
right.
and I did watch like Fire in the Sky, and I would watch all these, you know, whenever I was Unsolved Mysteries was on, I was always hoping for an alien one.
Hmm.
I got into all those cases like Betty and Barney Hill, and the Fire in the Sky guy, and all these people. I loved abduction stories and all that shit.
Yeah, I've had sleep paralysis quite a few times in my life, on and off, but I've only had the hallucinations twice.
Yeah.
One when I was a really little kid, and one when I was in my late 20s, mid 20s even. And they both involve zombies. The first one, and also I was into zombies like crazy. I still am, and I was when I was little.
Yeah.
And it was after I'd gotten into zombies and I was afraid of them and stuff. And I woke up one night and I used to have my bed used to be underneath a window, with my head facing away from it. So the foot of the bed, underneath a window in my wall. And I woke up one night and it reminded me of what you said about how you would wake up and you just knew something was there.
Yeah.
I had the same feeling. I felt like something was outside of the window. I just woke up and I was like, something's out there, something's out there. And I looked out my window and I just saw like a man, and he looked, a lot like the zombie from the beginning of Night of the Living Dead,
Yeah.
that first one that attacks Barbara and her brother. And he was just standing there in my yard at night. We had this kind of big front yard when I was a kid, just pretty far away from my window, but looking right at me. And I just sat there and I watched him for a while, and I was like, okay, well, if I go back to bed, maybe he'll just go away. And I laid there in bed and laid there and laid there and laid there and laid there, and I just knew he was there still. Woke up and looked, and he was a little closer, standing the same way though. And I was said, fuck that. I didn't look again the rest of the night. But that I remember that as clear as fucking day. And I was little. I was 8 or 9 years old when that happened. And then the second time it happened, I never saw anything, but I had a bout of that shit where I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was married at the time. My ex-wife's laying, in bed asleep, and it's in the morning. Like the sun was up at this point, so it's like early in the morning, 5:30, 6 in the morning, or some shit. And I wake up, and I can just hear this breathing. And at first, I think it's my ex-wife, but it's ragged. It's like that kind of shit, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then it's just like all like as soon as I realized it wasn't her making that noise, it all became clear in my mind. Like there's a fucking zombie just standing in the doorway of my bedroom, and it's like looking around to see if there's anybody alive in here, and if we move, it's gonna get us. And like I just laid there terrified for like probably half an hour, just like listening to it, and it sounded like it was getting closer at times, like had walked into the room now. You know what I mean? But I'm on my side, facing away from the door, looking at like the only thing I could see was just my ex-wife laying there with the covers over her, and I'm just like, oh my god, please don't move, don't move, don't make a noise in your sleep. And I could just hear it walking around in the room, hear it getting all close to me and shit. And then finally, I fucking ended it by like I wheeled around. Basically, I grabbed my wife's arm to wake her up at the same time, and I wheeled around, and there wasn't shit there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, like, I remember the sleep paralysis pretty early, but, like, the hallucinations didn't start till I was, like, 9. But I remember even before that, like, there'd be times I'd just wake up and I wouldn't be able to move. Like, I'd be sleeping and I'd feel this weird, like, tingling all over my body.
Right,
Like, I'd become very aware of my body, but not able to move it. And I just didn't really know what it was or what to make of it.
right.
And then sometimes there'd be like a feeling of a presence, but I never actually saw anything until I was like 9 and saw that fucking thing. There was even a few times where it would like I'd feel stuff. Like I remember one time I don't know how old I was. I was a little kid. I was laying under my covers, sleeping on my stomach with the covers over me, and I felt that like, oh man, there's like a presence here. And then I felt something tap me in the back 3 times, like,
Oh
and
fuck
I was
that.
like, fuck.
No,
No, no,
dude.
no, 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 no. I am not looking.
Fuck that, dude. Nope. I'd just shit my pants, man. If that zombie had tapped me or something, it'd be over.
Yeah.
It'd be over for me. I wouldn't even be here. Holy shit, man. Yeah, that's some spooky stuff. But it just goes to show you that the brain is capable of some crazy shit that we don't tap into consciously.
Well, I mean, like, one of the things that people don't think about is that when it comes to, like, when you're looking at things,
Somebody said that the person who tapped you was gorilla.
maybe.
It was gorilla, TJ.
But I feel like, everything that you see is just something that's put together by your brain in the first place.
Oh yeah, that'll fuck you up right quick. As soon as you realize that you can't be sure that what you're seeing is what everybody else is seeing, then you've already unwound everything you believe about
I mean,
reality right
plus if
there.
you experiment with hallucinogens and shit, you see really quickly what your brain is capable of,
Oh man, yeah.
and it's capable of some crazy shit.
There's no going back. Like once you've done that once and had a really profound hallucinatory experience, there's no like you understand so much more about the power of your brain. I don't really feel like I've learned to harness it at all, but fuck, man, at least I understand a little bit what it's capable of.
Yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate that if you're on LSD or something, like if you have a really visual heavy trip, it's everything is so fast. It's hard to like grab on to something.
I'm telling you, man, it just depends for me. The trip that I had with you and Ben at your place the first time we tripped together, that trip for me was stable as fuck. I saw some shit that just hung around. That poster we have out there in the hallway of that Cheshire cat,
Yeah.
that motherfucker, I would just look at it and he would disappear, all but his eyes and his smile, just like in the goddamn movie. You know what I mean? And every time I looked at that poster that night, he would do it. So it was so stable. I could come back to things. That picture of Manson that you had up next to your TV, because it was bathed in kind of that counter glow of the TV, he was everything, man. Every time I looked at that fucking picture, he was something else.
Yeah.
He was the devil. He was an old man, a wizard. He was Manson sometimes. Always, his mouth was always moving too. No matter what he was just always just like I was babbling something.
That's cool.
I love trips like that but that was because we were in a place where we were anchored to the same spot and the same visual stimulation was present throughout most of that trip. So it's like my brain had plenty of time to chew on the different objects in the room and decide what it wanted to do with them.
See, my problem, the problem of mine is like if I look at like a poster and I start tripping or something, it's not just gonna do one thing. It's gonna do like 500 things in like a minute.
Yeah.
It's this. 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 It's like oh my god, and like the sheer speed with which it becomes these totally complicated pictures. It's like it's a dragon. No, it's a fucking giant spider. No, it's a fucking weird floral pattern. It's this. I mean, it's just like it could be so many fucking things. And
Yeah.
there's just no stability to it. I remember one time I was, you know how like sometimes you look up at like a stucco ceiling, you can see little pictures in it and stuff. I looked up at a stucco ceiling on acid, and the entire fucking ceiling became like this huge like canvas,
Yeah.
and there was like the whole thing was like a big mural.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? How is my brain doing this? It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I wish I had this sort of creative power at my disposal.
I want to get some Lucy, man.
It's been too long. Stop.
Missed some super chat. Okay, let me look. Let me look. It's a good show and I'm high, so here's money. Thank you. I felt that feeling once. I was facing the wall and it pulled the blanket off my head completely silently. That's creepy. It's like, no, thank you. I'm not going to look at you. Whatever you are, just go ahead and do whatever you're going to do because I don't want to see you.
Yeah, just chop my head off or whatever's
Yeah,
happening here.
stab me or eat me or suck my blood or whatever it is you're here to do, just do it. But I don't want to see what you are. I'd rather not know.
I mean, and I thought probably until I was like 16 or 17, like I wasn't sure if it was a hallucination because I'd never heard of the sleep paralysis stuff. It wasn't until I was like at a bookstore when I was like 17 or something, and I found this book called like Night Visitors or something, and actually what it was an issue of Skeptic magazine,
Oh,
and I was reading it, and this guy was talking about his struggles with it and how he'd be visited by the the silhouette on the cover of the Exorcist poster. Like he'd see
Oh,
that dude with the hat
yeah.
in his fucking Roman shit, and then they were talking about all these other people and all these other experiences and shit. And, how they thought it maybe it was like this stuff was like the basis of like incubi and succubi and
Oh, yeah.
all sorts of other vampires and a lot of this other stuff that humans have cooked up.
Yeah. They used to call it old hag syndrome or something before they knew what it was. So a lot of people, I guess, would see old. I mean, it makes sense too. People were afraid of witches and shit,
Yeah, because it will manifest.
as your
Yeah,
fears.
as whatever you're most afraid of or whatever.
That guy probably saw The Exorcist at a young age or some shit, and that poster is just burned into his mind as a representation of that. But it can, yeah. So a lot of people were probably it manifested as some old witch, and a lot of them would say that she would come and sit on their chest at night so that they couldn't move.
Yeah, like that's another thing. Some people don't even have the visuals, but they'll have that feeling of like pressure.
Yeah.
I never had that one.
I mean, I've had the totally like. Have you ever had the where your mind is awake but your body is not?
Oh yeah, I mean
Paralysis shit.
that's like textbook sleep
Yeah,
paralysis shit.
that's the shit I get more frequently than I.
And I
The hallucinations are very, very few and far between. But
Yeah, it's weird because usually when I have the hallucinations, I can still move.
yeah,
I've noticed that, but uh, if it's just the paralysis, sometimes I'll feel a presence, but I don't feel pressure. I just can't move.
right.
And I've had just the paralysis, not super recently, but maybe like a year or two ago.
Hmm.
I had some,
It's been a long time since I've had it.
but I didn't feel any presences or anything. I just woke up and I couldn't move.
Yeah,
And I didn't panic because I knew, okay, sleep paralysis. This is a thing.
I always panic when it happens, like internally.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my god, I'm locked in my own body. No, I can't move. And then,
I just kind of woke up and I'm like, okay, I can't move. Okay, this is sleep paralysis. This is going to go away in like 30 seconds or so. I'm just going to focus on trying to move some part of my body. And, 20 or 30 seconds later, I finally was able to snap out of it.
yeah,
I was like, okay,
it usually only lasts about that long.
back to bed then. It's not that big of a deal now.
I'd still be freaked out by it, I'm sure. I've never had a calm reaction to it, so.
I mean, it's pretty panicking, but I just realized like panic is not going to help, you know. So I just focused on the task at hand of, all right, break out of this. You know, the only thing that freaks me out is like, and I try not to think about it, is just like there's like that weird syndrome that people develop. I think they made like a Robin Williams movie about it.
Oh, yeah, where they just become totally
Like,
laconic to the
yeah,
point where they can't
and
move
they
at
said,
all.
and they found some drug that snapped them out of it, but then it stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
But
L-Dopa.
yeah, but it was horrible because they said they were like totally cognizant of what was going on around them and shit. They just couldn't do anything,
Yeah,
and I'm just like, fuck that shit.
that would be horrible.
Yeah, if that happens to me, you have my permission to blow my fucking brains out. So I don't want to live like that.
Nope.
Somebody better fucking throw me off a cliff or something.
Yeah, make it fun for me. Get me a blowjob or something and then throw me off a cliff. That'd be sweet.
I mean, I guess if yeah, whatever. Just kill me. I don't know. Can I get hard? That's the question.
Yeah, that is a good. I mean, if you, I don't know. I'm sure the physiological response won't change
Yeah, that's
just
true.
because you're separated from it. I don't know. Who the fuck knows, man? I'd rather not find out.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's easily one of the worst things I could imagine.
I mean, dude, have you read Johnny Got His Gun?
Um, no.
Like, fuck, man, that's basically what that book is about. It's a dude goes off to war in World War I, and like a shell explodes and maims him to the point where it's like both his arms and legs are blown off, his face is blown off, his tongue is and lower jaw is ripped out, his eyes are burned out, and his ears don't work anymore. But he's saved. Like they managed to keep him alive and shit. And he's hooked up to like breathing machines, totally cognizant of everything going on around him, but he can't hear, he can't see, he can't smell, he can't communicate at all. He ends up learning to communicate with them by moving his head, like banging his head into the pillow.
Just like kill me.
Mm-hmm.
There's an episode of Tales from the Crypt where it's like when you die, you just stay in your body. You still have perception. You just can't do anything.
Oh yeah, that the one where the body goes to the corners and you see it all through the body's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That one's really cool.
Yeah. Crazy shit.
Yeah, that would be fucked up, man.
See, I'd rather just go to hell.
Yeah.
Sounds better than that.
I mean, eventually, I guess your brain would degrade to where you know, I don't know.
I mean, they kind of made it seem
Right.
like,
It's just
it's just,
forever.
yeah, there's no,
There's no stop.
as irrational as it might be,
Right.
that's just how it works.
Fuck that noise.
I remember I read some crazy fucking, there's a book called What's Your Dangerous Idea? You might actually like that book. It's a lot of these scientists and stuff talking about like what's their most dangerous idea,
Right.
not because it's false, but because it might be true.
Right.
Um, and there's a lot of respected scientists in there. Dawkins wrote something for it, but one of the guys had this thing where it's like um, consciousness might not just be a byproduct of the brain. It might be something that's just like a rock might be conscious on
Right.
some level. And so everything around us might be conscious. The chair I'm sitting in might be conscious.
Whoa. Fuck that.
I'm just like, hell no. Nope. Do not want. Fuck that. Hope that's not true. It seemed a little far fetched, but
Who knows?
it was still creepy.
Everything is alive. It's all
There's all kinds
alive.
of crazy shit in that book. There was like a guy talking about like, you know, what happens when you know, anybody in their garage can build a weapon of mass destruction and shit.
Yeah.
Like, what will we have to do to prevent that?
How could we possibly?
He basically just said, like, if it gets to that point, and he said he's not sure, but if it turns out there's some really easy way to make a weapon of mass destruction, then, like, the only way to even begin to safeguard against it is just, like, no civil liberties, no sort of any freedoms at all. You're just constantly under surveillance.
Yeah.
Everyone, all the time.
Or just like, I mean, you definitely have to control the technology
Yes.
that would be
But his
used.
fear was that maybe you could maybe it just be like some commonplace shit.
Well, I mean, like, look at 3D printing and shit. I mean, that's already gotten. I mean, they have cellular printers now that can that can print human skin and other organs and shit. So it's just like,
I
it's
mean, when do we reach the point of
well,
like, oh shit?
what would stop you from using a cellular printer to, replicate a virus or some shit? You know what I mean? And then release that in a big population center.
I made a new bubonic plague. It's way stronger.
You know, it's pretty fucking crazy.
Goes right around immunity.
3D print a big electromagnetic pulse device, set it off over New York. I mean, it's just, that EMP shit. I don't think that requires like any nuclear fissile material or anything to do.
It doesn't. You can
So,
actually already look up instructions on how to build one.
so yeah. I mean, it's
It
just like
requires a certain level of technical expertise.
not
But
if you can just print the fucking thing. It doesn't.
yep, very true. But yeah, you can already build one.
The bubonic plague. Yeah,
Nubonic.
cool. Make us a virus and send it to every 3D printer. Yeah, there you go. I mean that technology is going to be insane in the future. I mean they're going to be the shit that I mean like I said they're already to the point where they can print new skin for burn victims and shit.
It's like the replicator from Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean it really is. It's the beginnings of that, right? It's the early technology which is going to lead to that. Just it's going to get faster and more complex and
It's really weird how many things that were from Star Trek became real,
oh yeah,
like cell phones and
cell
things.
phones, iPads. I mean all of these
We're
things.
seeing nascent technology that very closely resembles the replicator. We're seeing nascent technology that very closely resembles the holodeck.
Yep.
I mean, we're just
And
getting
you got to
closer.
wonder what came first, the chicken or the egg. You know, is are we getting these things because people were so captivated by the idea, or was Gene Roddenberry just that prescient?
Probably a mixture of both, I would say. I mean, I've watched documentaries about it, um, and some of these scientists and engineers and stuff that have been behind these projects did say that they were inspired by things they saw in Star Trek and in other science fiction things. So,
Right.
sometimes when you're dealing with speculative fiction, someone sees something in a book or in a TV show or in a movie, and they're like, "Oh man, wouldn't that be cool?" And if they have the actual technical know-how and skill, they can maybe do something to make it happen.
Maybe so.
But then other times, maybe that was just the way technology was always going to go, and he anticipated it, like Jules Verne or some shit. Please stop.
Donor, you licking piece of shit. Why don't you go on about your business, boy? Go on about your business, boy. Don't nobody want to be licked. Don't nobody want it. 24/7. A little hello lick here and there is fine, but this obsessive licking has to stop. You must stop. Dinor. It's easy to come up with ideas based on knowing what would be more convenient, whatever was available during the creator's time. I mean, a lot of this stuff wasn't even close to available during their time. I mean, predicted long range wireless communication, predicted holdable computer interfaces, predicted a bunch of other shit that I can't even remember. There's still more things from fucking.
Haven't really seen any nascent teleporter technology yet, though.
That's already had the quantum teleporters that they've made. Like, because they know that, quantum particles react over, whatever distance. I mean, they've proven that. They've taken one particle and moved it to another place. One quantum particle. So, and we're starting to work on that shit for sure. The internet, really, like web searches and shit, computer. Like we've got that shit now. We don't think of it that way, but it's true. Computer, get me all the information about the Klingon Federation. And there it is. Now we've got that.
talking to like face to face shit.
Oh yeah, like yeah, the hailing channels and shit. They were skyping in the 1960s. What do you think about that? Skype in the 1960s. I didn't say we were even close to teleportation. I just said that they've already started working on the concept and had some, success in moving quantum particles.
Universal translator.
Yeah, universal translator. Yeah.
That's kind of come to pass. Not on the level they have it.
I mean, but it's
Tablets,
almost there. Yeah,
tablet
tablets.
computers,
Yep.
um, like the holodeck. That's been
Yeah, we talked about that. At least the beginnings of that type of technology. They teleported like a single neutron or some shit. Yeah, that's better than not a single neutron. How many neutrons have you teleported?
I'm gonna say zero.
Yeah, man. I mean, they're working on it, dude. Dude, Sarah, you've teleported 4 neutrons? Holy shit, dude. Fuck me. I bow to your wisdom. If you're teleported and get broken down and rearranged, would you still be the same person? No. And yes. I mean, technically you would be the same person, but the person that you are now would die as soon as the teleportation process started. And you would be rearranged and then thus reborn back into your old body and mind in the location. Unless, of course, the type of teleportation that we end up coming up with involves more like folding space than actual physical breakdown of a piece of matter and then transport. If it involves, like, we might be able to figure out a way, to have two locations exist at the same space in one at one time. That's explored pretty heavily in Michael Crichton's book Timeline. That's how they accomplish time travel. They were actually trying to work on teleportation, and the idea was is that they were using this multiverse theory and the idea that there was these infinite universes to move an object from one universe to another universe that was very similar, which would create a copy of it in that universe. Anyway, that's what they were trying to do, but they ended up finding a way to move objects and matter through time and send, anything back. But it was the same basic idea. People were broken down on an atomic level. And there's actually a really interesting scene there where the, CEO, genius, billionaire guy that invented this shit explains to them what they have to do. And they ask the question, like, what do you mean I'm broken down to subatomic particles and then rearranged in another time? Like, do I die when that happens? And the guy explains to him exactly how they do and they don't. So the lights go off for you, but the lights are on for a clone on the other side that just has all your memories, personality. Fuck that. I mean, but it wouldn't seem that way to you. It wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I died and then like this clone took me over. Like to you, it would be an unbroken stream of consciousness. But you would not be able to be alive during the transfer because you can't be alive broken down into your subatomic components. So what was you would cease to exist and then begin to exist again in a different place.
Just hope there's not a fly in the pod with you.
Yeah, if there's a fly in there, you're fucked, man. You become brindle fly. Brindle fly. You can basically break down and heal your body lost parts I mean, like, that's going to be part of it too, like instant tissue regeneration and shit. I mean, that's going to be tied to the same kind of technology. um it's happening. It's happening, guys, just very, very slowly. at least on a human time scale. We are all sitting here talking about it, but probably none of us will get to actually see it. We'll all be dead and gone.
Dead.
We might get to see some cool advancements towards it, but we ain't never gonna get to see no teleportation and shit. That's a little bit beyond our reach.
Maybe.
Paula's already a clone. Maybe we're all fucking clones, man. Let that bake your noodle, man. What if there's a mosquito in there? Ugh. That'd be a pretty good one to like. They wanted to do a reboot of The Fly instead of remaking it and selling it. Just make one called The Mosquito. Have the dude turn into a bloodsucker. Make it more, of a straight horror movie.
The one I want to see remade is The Blob.
I don't know, dude. Like, it's already been remade.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Yeah, but that was a good remake.
Yeah, but they could be done better now.
I don't know, dude. Some of the practical effects in The Blob are pretty fucking dope,
Yep.
especially in the remake. I don't even know if they do it that way. Like if they think about it, if they remade the Blob now, it would just be a big old CGI nightmare. It would suck.
I think The Blob actually could work pretty well CG.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
But I mean, I would want them to use a mix personally. Rob Zombie almost remade The Blob, but he chose not to. I'm glad he didn't because he sucks.
What? 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 Ugh.
But I want them to go all the way with it this time. I don't want them to stop The Blob. I want it to just consume the Earth.
Oh, you want it to win?
Yeah.
Want the last shot to just be the pink Earth?
Yeah. You just pan out and it's encompassed the entire Earth.
Cool.
And now it's just a blob planet, and then it shoots out little blobs into space to go conquer other worlds.
Cool.
It's never gotten the ending it deserves.
I like it.
That's the problem.
It's the don't feed the plants ending.
Yeah.
Shut up.
That's gonna get remade at some point too.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be bad.
I'm sure it's already
That one does not
in
need
the
to be
works.
remade.
It will be. Everything that shouldn't be will be. It's a guarantee. Dinor, what is your problem, bud?
I hope that if they do remake Little Shop of Horrors, they have the balls to do the proper ending, though.
That would be cool. But you just said balls, and that's not something I associate with Hollywood, so. Hasn't been very many movies with balls recently.
Whatever they offer you, don't feed the plants.
Oh, all right. I am going to end this. Have a good night, everybody. See you.